So that possible you guys should be outside. So I'll probably still hang outside so I can pick you guys.
Let's see. This be my victim. Whip one, whip two, rip two. Kalana the in thing. Let's see. I go swing along with the men for the win-win. Drive by Ujo, stringing woto system. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Let's pause it. Let's pause it and make a quick sub. I think we can have a Troost coming, yeah?
Captain,
Fantastic.
leader, legend.
Hi, Troost. Nice to meet you. Are you just coming in for a quiet
They're going to a quiet.
On the way to a quiet. Great. Amazing. Anyway, it's good to see you, Troost. I always imagine you'd be like buffer in person. Like, how does that happen? Does that happen? Is that TV?
You want to see me on the pitch?
Yeah.
What I mean. Yeah, I'm a nice guy here, but between the
Yeah, it kind of feels like, you're just a little slimmer. Or is that down to the summer?
I think television adds a
bit of flesh.
Yeah, it does.
Oh,
because you meet people in the flesh and they're quite different from what they look like in the face.
True. Off the bat, off the bat. How good is your pigeon?
I did try now.
That's good. That's good
enough.
That's fair.
Great.
I just need to make sure that you're comfortable. So maybe you can adjust yourself a little bit.
Yeah, let me
get into it. I see, there's a lot of paparazzi and very rightly so. When you have the a leader, 5 goals in the AFCON, that's all I need to know, right? But we've looked forward to having you for at least 3 weeks thereabout. So it's a real pleasure, and I can speak for everyone, that you coming in, sitting with us. We appreciate the time, and it's incredible because he has a very small backstory to you. He DM'd, and your team were very, very quick to respond, and I want to thank you very much for that. Yeah.
No, you're welcome. Thanks for having me today, guys.
Appreciate it. Anyway, yeah. Yes. So just being told that you need to just come a little bit closer. Yeah. So you can speak directly into the microphone.
Good.
Yep. I see you doing like some YouTube vlogs and stuff like that. Amongst all the players in the team, I've always felt like you're very media savvy. You're very like you just like telling stories, basically.
I'm here with you guys today, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. No, I think when I was a kid growing up, there was only so many idols or people that you could actually see what their life was like. I think now the world has changed a lot with social media, with access, content, things you can do. And I think it's important to try and share my story. You never know who's watching, who it might inspire. So, I mean, we're all just trying, and I try to share a little bit.
That's pretty cool. I was just thinking about, how you would appear in person today. And I always thought that you would come in a short sleeve because I like the tattoo sleeve you have. Because I was just doing some background on you, and I figured there's something. I think there's a name you have on your tattoo. I think it's is that Ekong or?
I've got too many now to listen. It's become like a sketch pad. But no, I think they're all like significant things to me.
Yeah.
But also some of the like art that I like, things that I like. I think tattoos are another way of expressing yourself. Sometimes it's a bit frowned upon, which I understand. It's not everyone's taste. But I really love it. I love tattoos. I love art. So why not?
Before we start, get into it, and the guys, fire away. I've always wanted to know the correct pronunciation of Ekong. Because on television it's.
You're saying it right, Ekong. Yeah.
Ekong.
Yeah.
So you're from Akwa Ibom.
Yeah. So that means soldier.
Warlord. Yes.
Like that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Right. And Troost is just Troost. We get that correctly.
It's like saying toast with Troost.
Okay,
But I say Troost because it's more easy for everyone to say. And that's my mum's name. It's a Dutch name. So I always said I want to play with both my mum and my dad's name, just because they did so much for me to get here. So it was right for me to honour them both.
Yeah. Do you have a native name?
Akpan.
Akpan. Right.
Yeah. It's nice.
Yeah. So Troost is finally here, guys.
I mean, just to get into it immediately. Obviously, there's no doubt how important you are now to Nigerian football story. But then you represented on the 19s, on the 20 Netherlands. When did that switch happen for you as regards, you know what, I'm gonna go over there and represent.
Was
my
there a
dad.
trigger?
You get what exactly was the? At what point was it a trigger? You know, at what point did you make the decision? You know what, I'm just gonna go over there. I think, you know, is it a case of I've got a better chance? Is it a case of, you know, there's something there for me to prove or to achieve?
Yeah, I think throughout my teens, I identified very much with being in Holland. I never really felt Dutch because, my skin is not the same as everyone there, even though I'm still fairly skinned.
Yeah.
And the same way when I was in Nigeria, because my dad always lived in Ikeja in GRA. So for me, whenever I was here, I was also Oyinbo. So I think those things, like, it was like a search of identity, really. So when I got to 18, 19, 20, I thought, wow, I really want to know more about my roots.
Yeah.
I love watching the Super Eagles play, but it just felt untangible at the time because, I played for the Netherlands on the 19s, on the 20s. And then I think I did an interview in which I said I would dream to play for the Super Eagles, and I got picked up. I can't remember the name of the reporter, so I'm sorry if you're watching this. And then I think from that on, people started tracking me a little bit. And then before I knew it was the end of the season, my first real debut season where I played, I think, 30 plus games in the Dutch Eredivisie. And then Stephen Keshi called me, and I was out of the blue. I think I looked at my phone like 5 times just to make sure there wasn't a prank call. And then we started talking, and I realized, okay, it's actually him. And he said, I really like what you're doing. It's the end of the season. I would like to have you involved with the Super Eagles. Would you want to play? And I was like, yeah, of course. He said, maybe you want to speak to your parents about it. I was like, no, I want to come and play. And that's how the story kind of started. Then Ennaby Archer, who's still the team secretary now, he really helped me because we had to make the switch from Holland to Nigeria. And that wasn't done in time. So either way, they still invited me. And I think it was only the day before the first game we were in Kaduna already. Sam was in Kaduna. Then now NAB, whispered in my ear, I think it's done.
Wow.
And then we had the final training, and I looked around, and I was with the guys that were starting the game the next day, and I was like, okay, I've got to turn up. Yeah, it's happening. But it was good that time. We had Vincent and Yamo in goal. He was so helpful. I kind of grew into the game. I think I was quite shaky at the start, nervous. You don't want to mess it up, And then towards the end of the game, I think people were quite happy or impressed with what I did. We ended up winning. And I haven't looked back since, really.
Yeah, so we had a nice conversation about you during the AFCON. I think it was the South Africa game where you took 2 penalties, one in regulation time, and then you took 1 extra time. And at the time we thought that it was nerves of steel, because I always think that footballers are wired to take 1 penalty in a game, So when you take 2 and score both of them, we just thought that it was just quite remarkable to be able to do something like that at a stage like that, at that stage of the competition. So what was going through your mind, because we saw the pattern of your penalties, one against in Ivory Coast was down the middle. The first penalty against Williams, Williams was down the middle, and we thought, is he going to do the same thing? And then Williams, he stayed, wanted to grab it, and you absolutely pummeled it down his side. And what were you thinking at that moment?
What do you think? I think when you are in big moments, or how I feel in big moments, you kind of live it. Of course, you have some nerves. I think that's normal. That means you care about the moment, right? So I think over the years, you kind of turn that into more like excitement. So it's not really fear of missing, but it's more like, okay, it's a big moment, I want to take it. I tried to speak to myself just to calm myself down, and you think, okay, I'm 30 years old now. How many times have I kicked the ball at the goal from this distance, And then you pick your spot. I think during the game, it was a bit of a mind game because obviously he saved 4 penalties the game before.
The previous game,
And I'd scored against Ghana in the World Cup qualifier. I'm sure you would have seen that maybe a year before, and a year and a half before. And then against Ivory Coast down the middle. And then just before I kicked the ball, I changed my mind. So I didn't really touch it right, which I think was my saving grace. So kind of went down the middle, went under him. I still had to show him the finger to let him know that this is it. And then on the third one, I knew, okay, he's going to stay down the middle. So I had to try and switch up again. So I think it's against good goalkeepers, it's like a mind game. I think the second one is always hard. I think it's harder if you would have saved the first one. Then it would have been a complete mind game, chess. But I felt like I had the edge over him, and I just felt like we had the momentum as a team. So I just tried to be present in the moment. And yeah, I think like big moments, that's what you do it for.
Look,
That's what you play football for.
I thought that was incredible.
It was.
I'm actually like, I was just having goosebumps.
Yeah, it was.
I tell you, I played a game, played 2 penalties, lost both.
But I've always just wondered, like, how does that decision, come to happen where the central defender is the one that is the bona fide, PK taker for the team? Like, how does that happen? Is that something that everybody sees in training? And because we're just speaking about, before you stepped in, about how the rest of the players in the team tend to unanimously agree this is our best, chance if we have one moment in the game. How does that come to happen?
Yeah, I mean, I like it for it to be the striker. I think the coaches always like it to be the striker for many reasons. Number one, that's their job. They're good at that. They've trained for that all their life to score from that kind of distance. Also, it's like a moment maybe for them to score, to build some confidence. So during training, we always have different penalty shootouts. I tend to score quite a lot. The coaches don't always like a central defender to take it. But now over time, I think maybe the moment against Ghana, that was also crucial. Kind of thought, okay, he's willing to step up. That first penalty against Ghana was actually Victor who gave me the ball. And then for me, it felt like, okay, if you're a captain in this team at this moment, you have to take it.
Yeah.
If someone gives you that responsibility, that's where you are, experienced for to do that. And that also comes with missing it because the margins are so small, right? So you miss 2. There's now I managed to score 2, but it's such a small difference. But you have to be able to take that, and also if you miss, can you then keep going and don't let that affect your game. So that happened in that game. So then we got to Ivory Coast, and something kind of similar came because Victor was still the first penalty taker, but I think most of the guys were confident in my penalties as well. He just won the foul. He was getting treated on his leg. Maybe it wasn't the right moment for him to take it. So I think that's also a sign of a very big player, someone who can understand the moment. When he offered it to me, I said, of course I'll take it. And then I think from that moment on against Ivory Coast in the group stage, that's when they said, okay, maybe you can be the first one if you want to do it. And I said, I don't score too much, so I'd love to take the opportunity.
How do you end up with 5 goals in is that something you think about, like, you're just in your hotel room and you're just, before the lights go off, and you're thinking, I've got 5 goals in this tournament. It's like,
no, I think it's 5 over the tournaments I've played, but was it? Or maybe it's 5 in the tournament.
There was 5 in the tournament, actually.
It was 5 in the tournament.
I mean, I don't think about that. I just, I dream about winning the trophy. And you might have like the odd day you say, I would love to score in a big game and moments like that. But for me, I could envision it more as like a header, corner, last minute. You kind of have to visualize it. It's not the first thing I think of because it's not normally a situation that happens often, right? So I just wanted to win the game, and I normally think about just executing what I need to do, what I can do, how I can help the team. And this is just like something that's added now to my game. And it's nice. And when I saw that I surpassed Stephen Keshi, who was someone that I look up to so much. And he was the reason that I'm probably sitting here now. I felt like emotional when I saw that, but it wasn't something that I was aware of until after it happened. So it was a nice memoir, but it wasn't something that I knew before.
And speaking of winning the trophy, what? Because when something like that happens, the team loses a game. The fans have different opinions. Some people talk about, maybe they didn't do enough. Different opinions. What does it feel like to lose a game of that magnitude? To go into the final thinking we want to win it and then end up losing. How does that feel? How do you handle it?
It's like a roller coaster. I think especially when you lead and then you end up losing in the second half. For me, it was the first time playing a final for Nigeria, so it was all a new experience. I think for most of us there was. I think it was only Kenneth and Musa who had been in the final before and won. I don't think it really hits home. One of the things that I said to the guys as well is like, let's not try to play this occasion. You have the show before, the fans, everyone is roaring. Just do what we always do. We've done it before, and we know how to play these kind of games. All of us are good enough to be here. And that was the idea. So I think we did that well. I think once we scored, we probably sat back even more, which didn't help us because at halftime, also we spoke about it and said, listen, they're going to come. They've got nothing to lose. They came back from the dead twice this tournament, and they're playing at home. They would prefer to lose 3-0 attacking all out than holding off. So, and that's exactly what they did. And we didn't have the answer. So that's something that we have to think about now, live with, heartbreak. I think we learned a lot from, and most of the guys that were there now have that experience. So I'd like to see us in the next final and see what we can do then.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, Troost. You know, I always think back to the 2018 World Cup, right? And you were in the team against Argentina. I've always felt, and this is a personal opinion, and I think I could be wrong, but I've always felt the team grew tired as the game progressed, right? Because Argentina just kept coming. I always felt like that was the part where the bench, Jose Mourinho popularly says, you know, it gets to a point where the players are playing, but then the manager starts to play as well with the team. I've always held the opinion that the team needed some refreshment from the bench. You know, e.g., you know, Victor Moses was really tired. You could see that, you know, Di Maria and co were, you know, running, you know, ragged on that wing. And if we had just made that sub, personal opinion, that goal at the
Probably
death doesn't happen. So you come back to the game against Ivory Coast as well. You know, you spoke in halftime and said we were sitting back a little bit. And was that a tiredness thing? Does that play even if you want to do the opposite, but you're just tired? You can't go as high as you want to be.
Yeah, I mean, hindsight is a beautiful thing, right? So, yeah, I think it's the same for the World Cup. You know, people would have said the same thing for coach. He would have made a change, and then the goal would have happened down that side. They said, "Oh, we should have stayed with the same team because the guys are on the pitch," you know. So, yeah, I think for the tournament, when you get to the latter stage, it is physically draining. You know, some of us were nursing injuries, but at the same time, the team was winning, and I felt like we had an identity. So as a coach, you want to play with those players at that moment in time. So, yeah, afterwards, looking back at it now, it probably was right to make some changes. But do you do that before the game? Do you change players for final? Maybe that haven't played in the last semi-final, quarter-final. What's the right moment to do that? Do you do that at halftime when you're winning 1-0? It's very difficult, you know. So being a coach is not easy. But yeah, I think it probably was the right thing. I think you observed that well. But again, it's easy to say after the game, right?
So what about 2018?
2018, I think when I've seen that goal back, I've seen it many, many times. There were a lot of things that happened in a moment. I think when the goals happen, same when Haller scored, I should have been close to Haller. The cross shouldn't have come in. We shouldn't have sat so deep.
Yeah.
In 2018, I think we lost the ball also before they got into that position. One of us, I think, from the central defence, were also out of position. So there's many things that happen. It's easy to stick on one player, but I don't think that's the right thing to do. You know,
That's actually brilliant. You know, I've always felt like, you know, players would naturally, you know, rather, you know, run away from the responsibility of it. And you just mentioned, you know, you probably think you should have been closer. But I've seen somewhere you mentioned that final, when you've watched it back and seen everything that's happened with Haller, I've since, I don't know if it's true, the quote that, you know, it felt it was providence for, you know, Côte d'Ivoire to win it.
Yeah, I mean, I believe there's something bigger than us. You know, everyone has their own God, their own religion, and all of us were trying, and in the end, all of us prayed to the same God. For that moment to happen in Abidjan, for a player that wasn't really involved at the start of the tournament, who came back from testicular cancer, almost took his life, to score a goal of that magnitude.
Written in the stars.
And the story as well, from the beginning, they almost were knocked out.
Yeah.
You know,
Plus, you know, missed the penalty with Dortmund. On the final day.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many ways to see it, but I think when I saw us on the pitch after the game, obviously we had to clap them through before they had their trophy. And then his wife and his two kids were on the pitch.
Yeah.
That gave me goosebumps, And then I saw him in the tunnel again. I said that, you know, congratulations. I would have loved to be in there, standing there as a match winner, but it wasn't my moment. But you know, the only thing that I always say as well with the guys is that we should be able to look in the mirror and say, I gave it everything. We can't control everything. There's a team of 11 guys that are trying to do the same thing as us. So it happens sometimes, you know, and I think sometimes we're quite critical, especially in Nigeria, about that because, you know, we feel like we can influence everything, which isn't always possible. And then there were so many reasons. We spoke about the food, spoke about the tiredness, spoke about substitutions. But, you know, sometimes there isn't always an answer to say that's the reason. You know, Ivory Coast were better than us that game. And that's the truth of it. The first game we were better, the second game they were. And unfortunately, you know, the game they were better was the final. And ours was in the group stage. So,
Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask, obviously, it's difficult playing for the Super Eagles in terms of, I mean, as an outsider, looking at it, the way the fans will get on the back of you guys, sometimes, you know, here as well on this table.
Just, do you want a drink or something like, do you want to, it's just juice, water?
Nice,
Yeah?
I mean, sometimes criticism, but we do it constructively here. We're not as crazy as some people would be. But what does
you have to watch to confirm?
What does it feel like? Because obviously, just being a Super Eagles player is already difficult. What does it feel like to be a Super Eagles captain? Because that's I imagine, and again, as an outsider, I'm looking at it. People talk about how important a captain is, even for club sides. Some of the biggest names that we hear in the game. Some of the most important names that we hear in the game, captains of some of the biggest teams, and Super Eagles, as big as it can come when it comes to international football. What does it feel like to be the captain of the Super Eagles?
Responsibility.
Yeah.
I think in a good team you have many leaders, right? So I've had the luck also to be the understudy of Ahmed Musa for this time. He's still officially our captain. John Obi Mikel, Vincent Nyama, and I try to pick some things from what they did, and you have to be natural with it, right? So everyone has a different way of leading, and the same way, I can't do anything like I did in the AFCON without the other guys around me who are pulling their own weight. So some guys are naturally vocal. I think I probably class in that. That's part of my position. I have to organize people to make my job easier.
Yeah.
Some people they run, they work. I always say to Victor, everyone is looking at you, even when you're not saying a thing. But the way you play gingers all of us. So we need that, And there's Iwobi, who's played more caps than everyone now, is going to be maybe in the top 5, or maybe soon he'll probably break the record. Yeah. Those kind of players you need to lean on if it's your Wilfred Ndidi. There's so many I can name that have been part of this team same time as I have been. For me, it's quite nice that they accept me to maybe be the vocal side of that. But we are all doing the same thing. Kenneth Omeru, same, who's won AFCON already. He's my big brother in certain extent, but he's also been so fantastic to support the team. Someone like that who wants to play, who deserves to play. He was good when he did play, and then when he doesn't, he's still behind and advising. And when he comes in for 10 minutes, it's Uncle K that kills everybody. So that's the kind of thing that we need. And now I feel like in this team we have got a good balance between experience, leadership, young players that are, some of them are, Boniface or the most exciting players maybe in world football right now, that are willing to listen, step in, and don't want to, throw shoulders to be something else. And then you have a good team all of a sudden. So then, you put a good manager in front of that. What can we do?
Yeah. I was just gonna 2 questions from before if I let you go. You mentioned that players, for our central defenders, one of the things you do is to organize people to make your job easier, right? And we banter a lot, and we of course we watch the Premier League, and we see Van Dijk is something that's been talked about. He is always pointing people in the right direction and making sure that people are in the right direction. But as you played in the 3 at the back, with Super Eagles, I've always thought that is there any confusion? Who picks up who in 3 at the back? Because we've always thought about it. When you're playing 2 at 4 center back with 2 central defenders, for sure what your roles are. But when you have 3, there could be that slight moment where you're thinking, "Oh, I pass it on to this guy passes on." Then all of a sudden, nobody really picks up the center back. Is there any confusion in your mind about that?
No, I think we had some clear rules. I think when you play with 3 and you come lower, so it's a lower block close to your goal. The emphasis lies very much on the team changing sides left to right as quick as possible. Because throughout a game, often one of the fullbacks becomes a winger, and one of the centre backs becomes almost like a right back. So depending on which side the ball goes down, and if there's the fullback is still in position or not, one of the centre backs has to step out, and then it becomes a 4 anyway when you look at it. So there's sometimes the only moment you have in quick transition if someone switches from left to right quickly. There's a moment where people are still on the way to get to the right position, and that's when chances can happen. But the other side of it is that in possession you have more options, you can press higher easily, and I think if the defenders, the centre backs are good in 1v1 defending, which I think Calvin is outstanding, Shemi has also shown he's been very good at it, Kenneth can do it, then you can play that position and you have almost one extra player. And that's how it works.
You prefer that, the 3 at the back? Does it make you feel safer as centre back?
I think if you play middle of the 3, it's probably safest. because you are doing a lot of sweeping and working around it. But I don't mind either. I mean, I had my time in Italy, which was my real school of playing three at the back. I think they've mastered that perfectly there.
Yeah.
So I learned so much, and my role there for 3 years at Udinese and also Salernitana was always the middle of the three. So I feel very comfortable there. But then I've also played in teams where they played four. So I think it's just slightly adapting. But I think our team now has the capability to do both. But for this tournament, it just worked three.
Yeah. I want to bring IBK, who's a member of the show, because he wanted to ask you a question. IBK, Trust is here, so I see your...
Yeah, bro. He came in for me, so...
Right.
Well done. So it's good to see you, and it's no fluke that the last time Nigeria won the AFCON was... We had the impact of local-based players who play in the Nigerian Professional Football League, and that was one of the issues we had with Jose Peseiro all through his time. We realized that he didn't really call, the top guys in the league, which a lot of us felt is quite unfair. With the appointment of Finidi George, do you think it was the right call? This is someone who won the league with Enyimba just last season, and in your own opinion, do you think bringing in the MPFL guys would make more impact to Super Eagles going forward?
I think the best coaches pick the best players. So if the best players are in the MPFL, then why not? I think Finidi George probably has the best knowledge now because he's been in the league. He's won the league. And he has a great understanding there. So maybe that was easier for him to make those judgments than Jose Peseiro, who I think only came in to watch some of the games, maybe the finals, the big games, but he was based in Europe. But yeah, with Coach Finidi, I'd like to think that he knows all the players. So it should be a fair competition. I don't think there is a right answer. And yeah, why not? If there's a MPFL player that is better, then why shouldn't he be in the team ahead of someone who plays abroad? And I think also now we've seen some players like Benjamin, the young central defender who's come back now, who's playing in Tanzania. Who's done so well. Stanley's product of the league, who's done so well. So, everyone is showing that they can keep up with this level. And I think there's another two new invitees for this camp. So, yeah, everyone's excited to see that because, this can also be their gateway to play in Europe or somewhere else. But they just need a chance to play there. But if there's a player in Europe, foreign born, but still Nigerian, and he's the best in that position, then as a Nigerian, I would like to think that you want to have the best players playing. So I don't think there should be a quota, but I think there should be a fair judgment and everyone should be looked at. That's my opinion.
Merits, basically.
Sorry, last one, please. So there's this argument, concerning what the priority should be when Finidi George was employed. What you are there, you are the captain of the side, as we know, and it's only right that we throw this question at you. Qualifying for the World Cup or winning the AFCON, which do you think Finidi will easily pick?
Why would you have to pick?
Like if there's a scenario that you need to, pick one.
It's not going to happen.
I mean,
It's not going to happen.
you have to go with both.
You have to be ambitious to win both. I think if you are a Super Eagles coach, you will come in to want to win, to be an AFCON, definitely in the final again. I think a team has showed we can do it, and you want to qualify for the World Cup. I think that's a realistic target. I think it's difficult. I haven't worked now with Coach Finidi, in March and also this camp. So, but yeah, I would like to think that that's his mindset. If I was the coach or if someone else was the coach, they would want to look at this team and say, I can win the AFCON with this team and I can qualify for World Cup 2026.
Sorry. I still think
You should
So you're quite a traveler. You played in Norway, if I can remember.
My first,
You played in Norway. You played in the Dutch Eredivisie. You played in Belgium.
Turkey.
You played in Turkey. You played in England in the Premier League with Watford. You played in Italy with Santan. All these countries, do you speak different languages? Do you speak these languages of these different countries?
I learned Italian when I was there. That was one of the things that they really wanted me to do as soon as I signed because the coaching was all in Italian. And they wanted you to really adopt the culture and to fit in. So that was my first big transfer. It was after the World Cup 2018 to play in a top league at the time. Cristiano Ronaldo just moved there. I signed 4-year contract. So I was like, I'm going to learn Italian.
Ever faced him?
Yeah, many times.
Yeah.
And he's also scored many times. So. But yeah, I learned Italian there. In Norway, I learned some words as he went on. So yeah, Dutch my first language. I learned German in school, English in school, and also my dad. Italian, and then because I learned Italian is Latin based, I can understand some Spanish, some French.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't gotten to Greek yet.
Yeah.
Because
I was going to ask you about Greek.
Great season, yeah.
Exactly. I was going to say congratulations
season.
to you. You guys are champions in Greece as well. So I think that's a big deal.
I was going to ask you
It's
about
a massive deal, sorry,
Yeah.
because growing up, I'm following Greek football. I always hear names like Olympiacos.
when you follow Greek football, I beg.
No,
You
I
haven't-
just follow.
you have spent
In a senior man.
We've been here for 4 years. You haven't told us you follow Greek football.
I follow Greek football, Panathinaikos. Of course, Greek won the Euros in 2004,
Greece, yeah.
so
Yeah.
there's a bit of spotlight on them.
No, just checking you. I know you know your stuff. Yeah.
Olympiacos, Panathinaikos. PAOK was not the biggest names.
it's the fourth time in their history that they've won it. Yeah.
Fourth time.
Yeah, this is the fourth time. It's the first time they've won it since they did the playoff, because in Greece it's like Belgium. They have like a mini season, ends in March, and the top 6 teams play 10 more matches amongst each other. to win
Yeah,
the
I
league.
see that in Belgium.
Yeah, similar. So it's really difficult to win the league in Greece because you have to face the top team so many times. So we finished top in the regular season, and then quickly after that, I think we lost 1 or 2 games, and we were second or third. But yeah, it was a massive deal now, and especially for PAOK to win the league. Of course, for me, it was a bit bittersweet because I would have loved to be more part of that.
Yeah.
And yeah, the AFCON meant that I had played my last game on the 2nd of January before I left for the camp. And then towards the end of the season, I was just fit. I was training with the team for the last 2 weeks. I was match fit again. But I could also understand the coach. I haven't been part of this team for 4 months. Some of the guys are doing really well. We're winning almost all the games. Why would I have to come in now to play?
Yeah.
So I think everyone's idea was for the next season. I'm fit now, that's the most important. But it felt bittersweet because, of course, I would have loved to play more games and to help that. But it's still my contribution, and I'm still going to claim this title.
So how do you say something? How do you say something like Nigeriano de carry last in Italian? Okay, can you manage that?
How?
So we have to switch it to English first.
Yes, this is double exchange rate every time.
How? So I'm going through your socials and I see posts from Odumodo, and you respond and say Kala. I'm like my captain is West native. He doesn't has a clean cut. How do you know Kala? How do you you're very immersed into it? And I've always felt like it was this AFCON with this group of players. The foreign-based players.
Yeah.
The Innit boys.
The
Innit
Innit boys.
boys.
Right?
I was gonna Innit boys.
I felt like it was this AFCON. You finally, those
Showed
players
everybody.
finally felt for the first time really accepted by everybody, and vice versa. The entire country really thought, what, these guys are not just a couple of guys who are coming to play because the shirt is available. They actually mean it, right? So how do you immerse? Do you agree with that? And how do you immerse into it?
Yeah, how beautiful is that? For me, that is exactly what this journey for the 10 years have been. I think before me, we had Leon Balogun, we had George Abbey, we had Peter Odemwingie. And I think my generation now, with Alex Iwobi's, Leon Balogun, myself, Calvin Bassi, Shemi Ajayi, Ademola
Lookman as
Lookman,
well.
have all come in and have opened that door fully. Again, back to the point about who the best players are for Nigeria can now be part of a team and don't feel intimidated to come, feel accepted. And if you see our team now, how we pray together, how we eat together, how we listen to music together, how we still talk in the group chats together, even when we're not in camp, it's like a brotherhood. And I think that's also part people can see, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah,
definitely.
Sure, for sure.
That's very,
that
very, very
togetherness,
obvious.
So I think that's something our generation should be proud of, and something how it's now going. And I think it's only going to make our team stronger.
Last question, right? Last question. When Stanley Nwabali, comes into the team as a debutant, right, at the AFCON, plays his first game ever at the AFCON, and he starts to bark, instructions, and you see him charging at defenders like he who have played, at World Cups. Does that give you any just slight feeling who's this guy?
No, I mean, I liked his presence. I felt like he, it was all coming from a good intention. It wasn't like trying to make a bad point. But yeah, we did have to have a talk about it, and I just advised him, said, listen, in my opinion,
I saw it a couple of times in game where you've gone.
I just said to him, to calm down, because for a goalkeeper you need to be in a certain headspace, and if you work yourself up too much, that might mean for the next moment you're not right. So I think he took that on board, and maybe it was all new to him. It's exciting, you're there, a lot going on. Of course, the whole of Nigeria is all of a sudden behind you.
Yeah.
You're visible. It can be a lot. So I can understand where he's coming from, And again, I think he's taken that so well. And I don't want to brush that off him because that's also part of his confidence.
Yeah.
And that's what makes him good. So, I hope he continues to talk. But sometimes you need to choose your tone of voice or maybe who you talk to in a certain way.
Yeah.
But that's also part of experience.
We cannot let you go without speaking about, the reason you're actually, in the country, the foundation. And I feel very proud about it, because it's funny. I don't know if you know, you would know actually, there's a road called Akaitinan, right? Off Aka Road, right? Going to Etinan.
Yeah.
And I went to Etinan 2 years ago in December. There was a nice festival, and I'm very countryside. I like the countryside. I like to see, life away from, what you would call traditional civilization and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It is a nice place because the roads are pretty tight till the end. But how does that? Where does that come from? The idea to start something that massive, and you're not just doing it, off the back of, or maybe you're retiring or something. You're still in the game, So it's definitely, from a good place.
Yeah, I think it was always my dream. I wanted to have a legacy project, something that I could actually leave in Nigeria and be part of beyond playing football. I think Nigeria has given me so much with the Super Eagles. And it's like my way of saying thank you. I think I've had the most support in Akwa Ibom in Uyo. The first time I went there, since I was a baby and I can't remember, was to play. And the love I got there was, for
I was
me
in that game. It was
amazing.
massive.
Yeah.
And,
Yes, I was in the game.
What year was this?
Yeah, I think it was.
It was my first game there was 2017. We beat Cameroon 4-1 for the World Cup qualifiers.
Right.
And it was an experience that I'll never forget. And then we ended up playing there another 2 times against Algeria. We beat them, and then we beat Zambia to secure the ticket for the World Cup. And that's where the mutual love was really.
Yeah.
Do
you feel when you're on the pitch, you feel like you're really at home?
Yeah, I really feel at home, and that's one of the reasons. So the foundation now was a moment for me to do it. I think after the AFCON, I had a opportunity to speak with the president, Senate president, the governor of Akwa Ibom, and there was some talks about maybe doing a homecoming. I don't like that word, homecoming, and making it about me. I think I've already received so much. I didn't want to go back home for people to tell me again that something was good from 3 months ago. So this was the perfect time to have people's mind and audience to listen to the project that I wanted to do. So I listened to what was needed. The governor of Akwa Ibom has done so much, especially in the first year now of his term. The schools, primary schools and secondary schools, state schools are already free. So that's at first I thought about doing just a school. That wasn't the right answer. I wanted to do a football academy, which was something I felt was needed there. Of course, we have Vincent Nyama, who's a legend in the game.
Yeah.
But I would like to see more football talent coming from there. I wanted to partner that also with education, so there's going to be a school part of that, because that's the platform for everything, to be able to sit here as well, to express yourself. But that is all long-term, 12-month projects, right? So now I've got AFCON's just happened. I've had my surgery. I'm at home. My brain's going like crazy. I want to get back. I want to play football, but I want to make the most of this moment. So that's kind of what fast-forwarded everything to doing it now instead of maybe in a few years' time.
Right.
We said, okay, we need to do a project that we have direct impact, which was looking at what's already there. So we have existing orphanages that needed help, whether it's supplies, renewing of facilities, giving out scholarships at the for undergraduates at the University of Uyo, which to my surprise, the tuition fees were everything is relative, quite little. And there was, we could do so much. And then I thought, okay, if we play this game here and I can invite Big Kala, all my friends now that want to come and play and support this cause, then why not? So we've got a full stadium. We've got some amazing players, ex-players, other African stars, celebrities who've been supportive and critical of our team. So we're going to see if they can play football. I'm going to invite you guys next time.
Good.
And so it's all going to be for a good cause. So all that attention generates also sponsors, and all that money is going to go for the non-profit organization. It's going to be spent now directly in those orphanages and giving out scholarships. And then in the long term is to do their own academy and school, and maybe what's beyond. So like one of the reasons I'm going there now is also to listen to the people and to go there and meet them, say, what do you actually want and need? Because I'm assuming things. I've got, I think this could be a good project, but if there's other things that need to be added or could be done, then this is the time. So I need to go there and put my, ear to the ground. So I'm really excited about it. So 2nd of June, Sunday, Make sure you tune in. You can
Yeah.
also
We'll
stream
do.
it.
We'll do.
Yeah.
You can do everything. You can be there live. And
What's the page to stream it? Is that your YouTube?
It's the NPFL app.
Oh, really?
Oh, the
Propel
NPFL app.
Sport. Yeah,
Okay.
so they're going to do that for us, which is amazing. And yeah, anyone who's listening and can come down, I don't think you want to miss it because it's going to be something very
That's
special.
at the Godzilla Pabio Stadium.
Godswill
Yeah,
Fabio
there's a real-
Stadium.
My house is actually very close to the place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a real
So you got no
carnival
excuse
feeling.
not to be there, right?
Yeah, I mean,
There's a real
Come
carnival
on, they also
feeling.
for Lagos.
I mean, like, are you guys traveling private? I could. I have a bag in my car. I could just join you guys. But that's really good.
Troost. Thank you so
So,
much.
I mean, just as we're leaving, just want
Love
to let you know, and when you speak to the other guys as well, we're incredibly proud of you guys. We appreciate
Extremely.
you guys. Every time you guys wear the green, white, green. Yeah, even though some people can get over the top with their criticism, like I said, we're very constructive here. We're very
trying.
proud of you. And also being the captain of the team and with what you're doing with the foundation, you know, we're proud of it. We appreciate you guys. We hope you're living the dream of a lot of Nigerians, and we're absolutely proud of what you're doing, especially with the last AFCON as well. You guys made the entire nation proud. So
Yeah.
Thank you
God
so
bless
much.
you guys.
It's really good, really good. Thank you, Troost. Appreciate it. Hopefully,
Thanks,
who's gonna win? Just predictions for that. You have a team and
I'm going to play on both sides, so I'm going to say a draw.
draw. Pretty nice, pretty nice. Thanks, Troost. We appreciate it. Yeah.
Well,
Somebody want to ask a question. Is anybody getting shy? No.
I mean, there's a lot of success around the Super Eagles. You go around. There's Lookman with the
Oh, yes.
with
This
the
year
league,
was
with
amazing.
the in Greece.
you potentially wanting to
That was before the AFCON, yeah.
Drive by Wujo.
No, I don't want to stop. No, I need to hold that trophy.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
I think you have a great team.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. I'm a boy.
Well, how do you think you
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Yeah.
All right, guys. I'm a man that needs no introduction on this show. It remains the Inside Podcast. You know, when it comes to talking sport, when it comes to talking football all around the world, you get the best information from this particular podcast. You can always join us online, on YouTube, on IG, anywhere online. You can always join. Even on Clubhouse, we're there for you to dish you the best information when it comes to sport all around the world. Stay tuned always.